Good morning, Rian Kutsia, Fortis Proactive Defense Solutions. I am back with Jaco de Tooy. Jaco is a loan operator student. He is currently busy with the second year. In fact, they are not too far from finishing their second year, which culminates in a big weekend-long exercise for all the students, something to look forward to. I'm certain he is too. Jaco, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Morning, Rian. Thank you. Very happy to be here.
There we go. I want to talk about your journey. Firstly, about what got you finally to the point of deciding I need to join the loan operator training course, and then obviously from that point on. So let's first talk about that. Where did you start with firearms? Are you one of those guys who've just been basically involved with guns your whole life? Or did you start later in your life that something bad happened that made you decide, I need to be able to defend myself in case something happens? How did you get to that point?
I think in a nutshell, Rian, from start to where I am now, a lot of things happened that were just coincidence. As opposed to where I am now, it feels a little bit more purposeful. So in 2013, my boss at that time said, for whatever reason, let's go look at guns. So at that point, that was the first time that I bought a gun, was in 2013, a handgun, shotgun, rifle. I've done hunting before that, and it was also a bit of a frustration not to have your own rifle. So I was keen to go and look and shop for guns. I haven't been exposed to, let's say, my dad, who was a firearm enthusiast or anything like that. So I was never exposed to the world of firearms, gun ownership, etc. My journey started with hunting trips, going with friends, and then in 2013, buying my first firearms. But at that point, it was a case of going through the proficiency, right? Okay, now I have a firearm, and I wasn't uncomfortable having a firearm. But for years, my sidearm, or what one should consider your EDC, was 98% of the time in a safe. Because yes, I wasn't trained, I wasn't skilled with it. I had to figure things out by myself or for myself. And for that reason, I never really carried it. I never used it in the way that I would use it now after the training. And in 2023, 10 years later, when I was busy renewing again licenses, I just decided I went to, this is where the second coincidence came in now, or happened. I went to one of the big firearm shops and I had a discussion with one of the guys. And I asked him general questions about grip and, how to handle it, and general questions about what you would normally ask from an EDC perspective. And we had a very long conversation, and he also did training with Fortis. I'm not sure what
Oh, okay.
year. And that's the first time I heard of Fortis. Okay. And he said, "Now just go and look it up." So I went home, looked it up, and that was in probably August, thereabout, July, August, September 2023. And came across Fortis on the website. And I decided then listen, I'm going to enroll for this course. It looked good. It looked interesting. And at that point, I was just late for the October enrollment in 2023. And I had to wait for January 2024. And that's where the real journey of a firearm owner for me personally then began. And that's where the purpose really started. In module 1, fundamentals, go through it. And the second module was first aid. And by the third module, my eyes just went open and the realization of a few things came to mind. And the first thing I said to myself, and I always use this analogy, many years ago, I had a nice car, high performance car, and they invited me on a high performance driving course. Not the one they show you how to skid, but actually racing around the track. And on that day,
Okay.
I realized what the car's capabilities are. Okay. So that if you are in a situation where you have to swerve, you don't have to be scared of it. So you know what the machine can do. You know how to handle it. You know what to be afraid of, what the limits and so forth are. And in essence, it's good to know these things of these cars because you will be in a much better, safer, you will be a much
Yes.
safer driver and capable driver to avoid an accident or avoid something, whereas you may be doubting yourself and cause something, but perhaps then cause an accident because you were not aware of what you can do. And by module 3, the question of, for me now, one up. I never, whenever before that, when I was carrying my firearm, I never had one in the chamber, and the safety was on. And at that point, I had a double action. So the safety is on, completely decocked. Um, and I didn't know what the issue really was in that state of carry if I were ever to had to use it. Not that I may have used it because there's a lot of other things that came clear. But on module 3, two things were clear to me. I know how to handle the firearm from that point from. Don't be scared of carrying one up, and the carrying position is not completely decocked. Safety is always off, and I was happy to carry it like that. And from what I've learned since then, in my journey with Fortis, that's a useless tool on my side if you have to react quick. And another thing I realized on that third module was that, you know, going for proficiency training is one thing. That's just to get your license. But every person who wants to buy a firearm, who thinks proficiency training is good enough to be a firearm owner and to use it, is completely misguided. Unless you've had military experience or police experience or some kind of firearm experience and you know your way around and so forth. But if you're a first-time buyer, proficiency, it doesn't end there. And I think you need to realize and make the decision that, you know, sometimes it's like with any hobby also. You decide I want to play golf and I'm just going to buy a set of golf clubs. It doesn't end there. You will have to make a financial investment in that. And for myself personally, that was also a bit of a concern. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. It now just becomes, it's now a thing for me of getting the right kit with your farm, what works, what doesn't work. The money you spend on it, yes, some people are maybe more better position than others. And I have to be careful on what I spend my money, but you're going to have to spend money on your firearm. It's not just a firearm. And then the most important factor of this whole thing, the whole most important factor is training.
Yes.
You have to go for training and advanced training. And it's not just about the firearm. I mean, during this whole process, just around the firearm itself and how you may or may not use it, getting yourself ready in a state of preparedness, your mindset, legal questions behind certain scenarios that maybe be floating in your mind that may cause you or make you hesitant of using a firearm. All of that gets cleared out over a few months. It's not just a single Saturday that all these answers, all these questions are answered. It's a journey, and that's why I said in the beginning, there were a lot of coincidences that happened that brought me here, and it feels really purposeful, not simply for the training, to be a competent firearm owner, being comfortable having it with me. There are many more elements around it as well. And like I said, it's not just a one single Saturday training session that you think is going to get you there.
I fully agree with you on that. It's a journey. It's a journey of discovery, not only with regard to your firearm handling skills, your shooting skills, all of that. It's obviously part of it, but also what happens in here, the way you think about things, the way you look at things. And of course, at the end of the day, what you're busy doing is you're juggling the odds to be a little bit more in your favor, because you can do all the training in the world. It doesn't mean to say something bad can't happen to you. But if you are continuously busy juggling the odds to make your chances of ending up a victim of something less, and your chances of surviving a potential problem bigger, then I'd say you are busy with the right thing. I mean, your life is certainly worth that. Jacob,
Yeah, I
I
agree
just want
100%,
to
Rian. And sorry, on
carry
that
on.
point, I mean, what I'd like to add there is, even though we talk about mindset and skill sets, and I'm more comfortable and so forth, when you I don't talk about firearms about anybody who is not firearm owners. It's not something you sit, it's not a discussion topic.
Yes,
But when
yes,
it
I agree.
comes up, I always get the sense that people who do not do what we do in terms of training and improving yourself on an ongoing basis, it's almost as if the idea is either, yes, you will get yourself into trouble because of a firearm, or they have the sense, oh, you've got a gun, you will be able to get yourself out of any situation. What I've learned is it just gives me that slight edge.
Yes.
That's all it is. I'm not in a firing team. You don't have people around you. The situation of crime and how crime is committed in the country, they technically, practically always will have the edge over you because you are being targeted, and you always have to be aware. And my first response to people who have certain comments about firearms is that your first line of defense is awareness. Me having a firearm doesn't mean I want to go out and shoot someone. Not at all. I'd rather prefer not to shoot someone. I'd rather prefer not to be in a situation. And we go through all these practical scenarios, and awareness is your first line of defense. And if it comes to that point, yes, then I have an edge, and I have a little bit of a confidence and a mindset that will hopefully be in the right place to act appropriately and with the correct action when it happens, if it happens.
Exactly. That's what it's about. That's the point. I want to just touch on something that you said earlier about you mentioned maybe if you were in the military or the police. Um, I actually differ from that slightly, and I'll tell you why. I saw purely by accident or by chance. I saw a video earlier this morning. Yes, earlier this morning. It seems to be in South America somewhere. A policewoman in a shop, some sort of a shop. The one of the static cameras in the shop was recording this, and a guy started getting like in her face and managed to get her gun out of its holster in the process. And he just went ahead and shot this woman, like cold-bloodedly, right there. So you don't know if there's history or something, but that's what he did. And to me, as absolutely sad as that as is, and I mean it's devastatingly sad that it had to happen, but there definitely seems to be a lack of training, and she is a current uniform wearer, obviously. Um, and that's the point that I'm trying to get at here is that being in uniform doesn't necessarily mean your training is up to scratch with what it's supposed to be. If the brown stuff hits the whirly thingy, there are
Mm.
always gaps somewhere. And if you were, for instance, in the military 40 years ago, yes, you may be used to handling guns, but if you haven't done anything other than maybe hunting the past 30 or 40 years, then if you think you are going to fall back on what you did then when you were a young man, um, I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen. Training is a skill that if you don't use it, you lose it. It's one of those things. And I think you guys, especially now that you're busy with the second year, you have realized that by now. It's a perishable skill. You have to keep at it the whole time, try firing, etc., etc. It doesn't stop. It's not something that you do once a year or once every couple of decades and off you go. I think that's a mindset problem that people need to sort out for themselves and sort of get that ego out of the way and realize, but I can't afford to have my ego stand in the way of my survival for myself, for my family. Um, I'm worth more than that in my personal capacity. My life is worth more than that. And for my loved ones, my life is most definitely worth more than that to just gamble on that. Um, that's the way I look at that. So the training is really for everybody. I don't think you can ever get enough training.
Mm.
Ever. That's why for this specific loan operator course, people
Mm.
just keep on coming back the next year and the next year and the next year. They want more because they've realized that.
So you're 100% correct. I mean, it is perishable. It's not something you're born with. It's something you learn, you're taught, and mindset is a huge factor in the whole thing. Apart from the skills, I mean, every Saturday when we are there, mindset comes up in some form in the discussions that we have, and it helps you just to think about things and get yourself in sync with the skills that you learn and so forth. And all of that is perishable. Um, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to carry on with it. One of the reasons. And I realized if you don't keep pushing at it, you know what, I might as well just sell the guns and just get rid of it for the reasons that I bought it. Um, so yeah, no. And you realize that also sometimes you get to the range and you haven't been practicing, you haven't been doing what you've been doing, and you are so unsatisfied with yourself on that day. It's just a bad day when you don't
Yeah.
perform in the way that you actually know you should be performing. So yeah, that's very true.
You, somewhere in this process, you also relocated to the Western Cape.
Yes, did make a decision a while ago to move to the Cape, but I eventually last year November moved to the Western Cape. Um, I do have a small business, and when the end of last year came, it was I had to think about a few things. And unfortunately, I have this small business, and I have a few clients up here in Joburg. And I've said, you know what, there are three clients I have to see at least once a month. So the reality is that I plan everything around my training and with a loan operator program. Um, I if the clients were to go away, I would still come up. Um, there's a group starting in Cape Town, but
Mm.
you know, part of the journey. Let me tell you, Rian. So I'm Bravo 24, and we're a bunch of guys, and I've realized that from one group to the next, each group has its own unique characteristics as well, and culture. And I'm happy that I ended up in Bravo 24 because of the mates that we've made, the friends that we've made there. And everyone says their one highlight is getting back together, seeing one another once a month and sitting, going through this training. Um, it just builds a camaraderie of something that I enjoy. Personally, for me, it's a big plus of this program. And fortunately, many of us were able to carry on with level two in the same group. And there's a few of us that will carry on next year. So when I said earlier, few coincidences, now it feels purposeful. I love this. Not because just for the sake of having the training, skill sets, mindsets, and things to be able to defend yourself if it ever is needed. But it's far more than that. Being part of a group of guys, the instructors, I mean, the instructors are top. I enjoy the instructors. And what also makes it great is that we are exposed to, I don't even know how many instructors. So you get so many different viewpoints and input and knowledge from all these guys, um, which is just an added value, I think, of how Fortis and the Loan Operator program is structured and put together. It is just
Yeah.
awesome,
It,
and it's not just something you find on the website. Let's me quickly go and do a course, a shooting course on a Saturday, and you go home, and that was it. I mean, there's follow up. We need to do our own drills with them, whether it's dry firing, whether it's fitness. Yes, maybe the discipline on fitness is not that great, but even that, you realize on the range, the way we do our courses of fire, um, and the way they try to simulate a stress environment, it's not a true stress environment that you'll be exposed to. But even that little bit of adrenaline that pumps when you go through a specific course of fire, you feel the exhaustion, and it is absolutely clear why the fitness level and the way we have to do it is so important. And if you don't go through this, you won't understand it. It's not something I can explain. Obviously, I've told friends about what I do, some of my friends, and I always
Exactly.
get back to this fitness thing. Yeah, it's amazing when you're out there and something's going to go wrong. You're not running, you're not doing anything. Your own adrenaline is just going to drain your energy. And you need to be prepared for that, because if you have to do certain follow-ons from there, whatever the case may be, you need to be able to survive the thing, the event, or what
And
if anything has happened.
therein for me personally, and I'm obviously biased, but there, that's part of the beauty of the loan operator setup, in that it's not a standalone course. Even the standalone courses, like the shotgun courses and so on, the carbine courses, which fall under Fortis, um, even those are not standalone. Even those are 3 to 4 modules. But the loan operator
Yes.
itself, being a 12 module course, it ensures that there's that level of bonding between the team members. Inevitably, they bond, that camaraderie. Um, every group sort of develops its own character and synergy, and the way they operate and interact, and and they all build each other up there, and there is beauty in that. They, it truly is amazing to watch a group of guys get together who don't know each other, and a year later they are buds. They have bonded. They are doing this relatively difficult thing together, and they've done it. They've seen it through. It's pretty amazing. They're there for each other. They can count on each other. It's definitely something special. And then the other thing is, I think for any instructor, that's always the thing. You have to induce that pressure to get people introduced to what it does to you, and what it does to your body, and what it does to your mind, and at the end of the day, what it does to your abilities to actually use your firearm, your hands, a knife, whatever the case might be, under that sort of duress. And the challenge is always, you have to do it in a controlled way so that it's safe, but you also have to try and amp up the pressure as absolutely much as you possibly can, so that the student can really feel pressure. The student must really experience the differences that happens in his body and um, in his mind
Mm.
when that happens. And the more you are exposed to that, the more you start getting used to operating under that. And that you can only really do when a course is longer than one module, is specifically in this case 12 modules. It doesn't just happen quickly in one module. You can get a taste of it and understand that, oh, these are serious problem areas. I need to address them, and hopefully you get clever and start doing more regular training. But at most, you can be exposed to it, and if you manage to get the ego out of the way, because it's going to humble you in a big way. So if you can manage to get the ego underway and remain in that mindset that you must be open to learn, then you can look at it and say, okay, now I know for a fact I need to do more training, and then investigate more training and take it from there.
But that's what I love about this program, Rian, is that, and I think that's, it resonates with me, my type of personality and so forth. This is a practical program, okay? I think there's lots of training companies out there, and people would see videos and what you associate, what preconceived ideas you have around firearms, and now it looks sexy or fancy, and that's such the wrong impression that people must get about it or have about it. What I love about it, first of all, is that it's practical for me as in what's called an operator in my house, around my car, or at the shops. It's not fancy tactical stuff that you see the Americans post on videos and so forth. It's not that. It is, how do I keep myself safe in my home? What works, what doesn't work? And the fact that the whole thing is built around that concept is what's awesome. Then you talk about humble. That's what's so great on the day, all of us. If we're doing not so great because we know we should be doing better, because you should have practiced, whatever the case may be, you know, that's what I love about the group. There's no ego, and there's no space for ego here. And I must be honest, I think when you come here and you still have ego, then maybe there's some other questions to be asked of yourself. This whole thing takes it out of you, and it humbles you, and it teaches you properly.
That's important, because when people look at something like this, a lot of them tend to think, oh, that's where the gung-ho guys hang out. And that's quite simply not the case.
Not at
There'll
all.
always be one or two gung-ho guys. That's their personality. Even they get humbled and understand what the real purpose is. That's the beauty of that. But generally, most people who do the course are not your gung-ho types. They just average every day, whether it's a guy or a girl, it's irrelevant. They just every day we just want to be in a position of being better able to defend themselves should it ever come to that, or even better, evade a problem as much as possible. And again, that's stuff that you learn to do. So there's nothing gung ho about the people who join the course. They're just
Okay.
everyday people.
I think
Carry
one
on.
must understand the objective of what one must understand the objective of the program and why you want to do this. And again, I've gave a high level background, a rundown of the background of how I ended up here. And I mean, a few weeks ago, something happened at the house in Cape Town, and I took so much comfort from the fact that things just kicked in.
Mm.
If it was 2 years ago, I would have been, oh, yeah. And I'm proud that this program has helped me to actually act in a way where I could say, okay, listen, guys, go there, put the kids there, and then took whatever action I had to go and see what it was that was potentially at the house, even though it was a false alarm. There was no
Mm.
hesitation. Now, if you hear me say this, one must not misinterpret this by saying, oh, yeah, there's no brains or bravado or whatever the case. It's just in that situation, in the house, I was able to act without hesitation. And it's all this training, nothing else. It's all this training that helped me to do what I had to do. And even afterwards, when everything was not done and said, and like I criticized myself for a corner that I didn't clear properly, or for something that I did not according to, I think, what the standard should be for myself. But the fact is that this training uh, personally means a lot to me, more than just being able to take action when needed, but also the camaraderie, the friends, the things you learn. Yeah, it's part of my life now. That's just it. I just need to figure out next year, how do I plan and work things around to carry on with level 3? And I'm
Of
curious
course.
to see what level 3 holds in for me, is to offer. And yeah, I can't wait.
Well, last but not least, I just want to touch on the fact again that big, in terms of the commitment that you are showing here, because that quite frankly impresses me. You live in the Western Cape, but you are still attending the courses in Pretoria. So once a month, you fly up, you see your clients, and you also do your next loan operator module course. And when you're done, you fly back down to Cape Town again and carry on with your life. Um, Not many people will do that. As I said to you before the video started, so often you will get people who live on one side of town finding out the course is on a different side of town, meaning they have to drive 20 clicks to get there, 20 kilometers. And the first question is, don't you have something on this side of town? The mere idea of having to drive 20 Ks to the course for many people, it's weird. And that's a commitment thing, as far as I'm concerned. That's just looking for excuses. We've got a guy coming up from KZN. He stays in the KZN Midlands, so he can either go to Durban or here. But again, he decided he wants to carry on in Pretoria, so he drives to Pretoria once a month to come and do the course. That same level of commitment, it's out of there. It's commendable, and it says a lot about the mindset changes that you have undergone since you started in 24.
Again, and I think one needs to ask yourself the question, why? But let me tell you, if it was simply a course that takes you to the gun range and just show you how to shoot properly, whatever the case may be, I don't think I would have then done it. Remember, it's a community. I don't go to a training session on a Saturday. I'm going to my community. Okay. For me, it's got a lot of meaning. Then what I learn, I enjoy it a lot. I love it. And it never stops. There's always something new. I mean, I did the carbine course now, so I do standalone courses as well. And when I did my first benchmark, I don't know what the benchmarks entailed, but when I did my first benchmark 2 months ago, it was built in with our night shoot that particular day. Now, before this, I was asking Dion, listen, I have a problem with benchmarks because the benchmarks are right in the middle of all the sessions, and to fly up for half an hour is going to be tough. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But let me tell you, after I did that benchmark, so I'm one of those guys, I'm not necessarily over-disciplined with fitness training that I have to do on my own, but I love to, ek hou daarvan om harde bene te kou. I don't know how to say that in English. And I was dead that day. I was like kaput. I was finished. But afterwards, I felt good. And I decided, you know what? I want to do another benchmark, whether it falls in between or not. And I don't know if it's about the commitment. It's about what this whole program personally just means to me. So I booked another session. Unfortunately, I had to cancel for the benefit of ballet for my little girl. And it's a bit disappointing that I can't do that benchmark because I want to do another benchmark. It tests you, it pushes you. And if you're the kind of person that enjoys this kind of thing, if you're the kind of person that likes to learn new things, if you're the kind of person who really wants to understand how to keep yourself safe with a proper mindset, tool set, skill sets, there's no better place to be. There's no other. Not that I've looked even. I don't think there's another program out there that offer everything that this program does. I mean, it's not just about the shooting. It's not just skill sets. Yes. There's so many facets to it, and it will take a bit longer to unpack everything properly. But it's the camaraderie, the bond that you have with your friends that you make. It's what you learn from yourself. It's how to keep yourself grounded, because this does keep you. This humbles you. A lot of people see good, good shooters out there, and then you see somebody come out on a standalone, and you're like, wow, and you're in awe of them, and it's great to see that. And yeah, I don't even know what else I want to say, but there are so many things about this that keeps me here.
I think you've described it in a lot of detail. And I trust that the viewers to the video, and this will also be on the podcast on Spotify. The podcast is called Quick Shots. So people who listen to it there will form a much clearer idea of what lone operator training is all about and what you can get for it, can get from it. So on that point, if you are interested, there's always a link in the description below. Check it out. Find out all you can, and we are looking forward to meeting you on a range one of these days. And also, as always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and smash that bell icon for us so you can get notification of all our new videos coming out. Jaco, that's it from me. Thank you so much for joining me and talking us through your journey. I found it very interesting.
Thank you for asking me for having this conversation and chat. I enjoyed it, and yeah, it's good to talk about it, actually. puts it in perspective in my own mind also, and reminds you about certain things. And yeah, no, it was a good conversation. Thanks.